Let's talk about all of the books that I've read this fall. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so very happy to have you here. Thank you for clicking on today's video. As you can see, today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read this fall. So this is pretty much all the books that I read in September, October, and November. There was a few months that I was doing a monthly reading wrap up, but then I had other video ideas planned. So I haven't sat down and talked to you guys about the books that I've read. It's been at least 3 months, so I'm very excited to do that in today's video. So without further ado, let's get right in. Also, I just feel so cozy with my little cute gingerbread mug, and I'm just feeling really good and happy right now. Anyways, I just have to say that. The very first book that I read in September was Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I do not want to butcher the author's name, but I was very excited to read this book. This was actually one of my like 5-star predictions, and unfortunately it wasn't. It was more like a 3.75 4-star. The book was really short. It was really easy to read, and it was really easy to like fly through the story. But I thought that I was just going to be invested into the characters more. I thought I was gonna love the characters more. I thought everything was just going to be more and it was going to be a 5-star, and unfortunately it wasn't, but that is okay. It didn't give off like those cozy vibes that I was looking for, and the book was based in the summer, and that could be my fault. I could have searched up where and like what time frame or what season this book was written in. Just based off the cover, it gave me fall vibes, and it was actually based like in the middle of the summer where the characters are complaining about how hot it is. So it didn't take me to that cozy, whimsical type of little like world like I thought it was going to. The premise of the book is pretty much each character is having some sort of regret, and they are trying to just have the wish of just going back into time and changing what they wish they could change. And pretty much what's impossible is possible in this little cafe. At the very end, it ends up teaching you this life lesson that was very beautiful and was beautiful to like close off with. But at the very end, I wasn't like attached to the characters. I wasn't like obsessed with them. The story is very short, so I felt like we didn't even really get to know that much about the characters. With that being said, it just unfortunately didn't give me what I wanted, and that's just what happens with books. Then I read Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I actually made a reading vlog with this book. This was a part of my Instagram Chooses What I Read. So if you want to see like my full in-depth thoughts and opinions about this book, definitely go watch that. But very briefly, 2 stars. Yep. I definitely thought it was gonna be possibly like a high 4-star. I thought I was going to enjoy it, but I did not. It felt really boring, and this was like a pretty big book. I think it was like over 400 pages, which isn't that long, but when a book isn't very intriguing, that's pretty long. In this book, we are following our main character, Nick, who in my opinion, I just don't like. He just seemed like the classic middle-aged douche, to be honest, that you like see in movies where you're like, come on, really? And same with the main character, Amy. I wasn't impressed, and it's just, to be honest, I feel scared to like give books bad reviews, because in my mind I'm like, okay, you try to write a book better than this. I can't. But that's why I'm not a writer, I'm just a reader. Then in that same video, I read The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. And if you've seen that video, you already know my feelings about this book. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. What the heck? Is there like crack in this book? Because it felt like I could not put the book down. Every single chapter, I would end it and be like, I have to keep reading. Where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna go? And then I'll like read the next chapter and then be like, oh, I can't put the book down. I have to keep reading. I have to figure out what's going to happen. And it was so good, and I've never ever had a book give me that experience. In this book, we are following our main character, Millie. She's like 25 years old who has a secret past, and she is hustling. She is trying to get back onto her feet after some traumatic events. She ends up stumbling across this ad to become a housemaid for the Winchester's family. So we are following our main characters, Nina and Millie. They are both completely different people in the sense of Nina is just this rich, classy woman who only wears white. Then we are following our main character, Millie, who has been having to work for everything that she's got. She was living out of her car, just completely different characters, but they are both hiding a past that they do not want the other one to know. And when I tell you, this book had me by the edge of my seat. It was so good. Like, if you're in a reading slump, read this book because it's going to get you out of it. It's going to grab your attention immediately, and it's just going to invest you into the story right away. And I really, really enjoyed this book, and that's why it's a 4.75 for me. Then I read The Help by Catherine Stockett. I first watched the movie, and it's one of those movies that I can just rewatch and just enjoy just as much as the first time, and I really, really like the movie. And so I knew that I wanted to read the book because the book started first, and I just wanted to read it and have that experience, and I'm really happy that I did. I do gotta say, I did enjoy the movie way more than the book. I would rate the book probably like a 3.75. It was a little hard to get into. Did I mention that it took me like 4 months to finish? Sometimes it will just take me a really long time. Like, I'll be reading all of these books. Like, the books that I've already talked about, I was reading while reading this too. Sometimes it's just like that, and I don't want to put myself in a book slump, so then I'll go and pick up another book. But I got through with it. I ended up finishing it, and at the very end, it gave me that happy feeling like the movie does. I really love our main character. What's the main character's name? Our main character is Skater. Skater! That's how the movie says it in the mom. That's how the mom says it in the movie. Skeeter, we're following our main character, Skeeter, Aibileen, and Millie. And it is so fun to read about those characters. In the movie, they did such a good job portraying the characters. And I even really like reading about Millie's maid, which I can't even remember right now, but I'll put it on the screen. I love her in the movie, and I loved her in the book. It was fun, and I just thought that it was going to be like an addicting read like The Housemaid was, and unfortunately it just took me months to finish. But then once I pushed through like the halfway mark, I was able to like fly through the story, and I felt like I was watching a movie in my head. So if you really enjoyed the movie, then definitely go read the book. I feel like it's a really fun experience to like compare and contrast and see the differences between the two. Then I read The Housemaid by Erin Sterling. Then I read What did I say? Then I read The X-Hex by Erin Sterling. I read this book probably like a high 3. I would say like a 3.75. This book took me where I needed to be taken. In October, when you just want to be placed into the coziest, warmest, Halloween magical place, this was perfect for that. Our main character is Vivian, and she's a teacher, and she lives with her aunt and her cousin, and her aunt and her cousin actually own like this gift shop Halloween store. And when we were in that shop, it felt so fun, and it felt like I was placed there with them. And I also enjoyed our main character, Rice. I wouldn't say I'm like a sucker for slow burn romances, but I think this one needed to pump the brakes just a little bit on how quickly the romance became, how fast the romance came, because I was just so invested where this magic was going that I didn't even end up caring like that much about the romance. I do really want to read The Kiss Curse. It's like the second book in the series. I believe like they're both standalones, but in this book we're following Vivian, and then in The Kiss Curse we're following the cousin. And I really enjoyed reading the cousin in this book, so it makes you super intrigued to read the second one, and especially because I know that it's going to give me all those vibes that I want in October and in the fall. fall, I definitely will be picking it up. Then I read The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. This book I would rate like a 4-star. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I do gotta say, halfway through the book though, I was kind of like, where is it gonna give that I need to be given, like with the housemaid? And then like the other half of the book, I was like, this is what I've been wanting. Like, it was so thrilling. I think Frida McFadden does a really good job making your feet sweat from anxiety, and because you don't know where this book is gonna take you. She does a really good job with grabbing your attention, and she makes you invested into the characters, and she makes you invested into the story to want to figure out what's going to happen. At the very end, I remember I just could not put the book down. Like, I just needed to know what was going to happen. And then my boyfriend was like, so you did end up liking the book? And I'm like, yes. Like, the end was so worth it, and it was so good. I think what I'm trying to say is, like, The Housemaid, it had your attention the entire time, and like things were happening that were extremely captivating. Where with this one, I think it was more of like a build-up, like live with the characters for a little bit, where with that one I felt like it was just right away. Then I read Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I rated this book, I believe, like a 4-star. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. In this book, we're following our main character Pip, who is like an 18-year-old detective. She is a badass who literally doesn't need anyone and can just do everything on her own. Someone ends up going missing in her town, and because the cops are useless and she feels like the cops aren't going to do anything about it, she ends up stepping up and doing the job for them. And wow, like the very end, I would say maybe like the last 200 pages or maybe 100 pages was so captivating. I was like, wow, I was invested. Like, I was reading for hours straight, where I ended up getting like a headache because like I've just been reading for so long, and I love when books do that. I think Robbie and Pip and the parents and the brother are all a lot of fun to read about, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I continued with the series. Then I read The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I'm actually borrowing this book from my boyfriend's aunt. It's so lovely. She heard that I loved books and gave me a stack of books to read, and I love her for that. This book was one of them. I have never read a book that's like this. I just realized I completely forgot to talk to you guys about the audiobook that I listened to. I listened to Thank You for Listening by Julia Whalen after The Housemaid. So I completely forgot about it, and I'm already way past the time that I read it. I listened to Thank You for Listening, and I really enjoyed it. I would say it was like a 3.5, close to a 4-star. The narrator for this book is Julia Whalen, and that's why I remembered about Thank You for Listening, because the author from Thank You for Listening, Julia Whalen, is actually an audiobook narrator. It was a lot of fun to read about a character who's a audiobook narrator, and the author herself being a audiobook narrator. It was just really fun to like see the worlds intertwined, and it was also a lot of fun to listen to because Julia Whalen does such a good job with her voice acting. I would say there was like 10 characters. I don't know the exact number. Let's say there was 10 characters in this book, between the dad, the mom, the mom's husband, between herself, her lover, her grandma, her boss, like all of these male and female voices she was able to bring, and you didn't get confused who was talking. Like, she did such a good job with her voice acting that you knew who was talking. Then that takes me to The Four Winds. When I started listening to this book, I was like, wait, I recognize this voice. It's homegirl Julia Whalen. And again, Julia Whalen did such a good job narrating this book. It is 1934, and our main character is Elsa, and we're following a family. So there's Elsa, the mom, the husband, the 2 kids, and the grandparents. And we are in Texas during the Great Depression. And holy cow, I have never read a book about the Great Depression, and reading about it gave me this overwhelming feeling of gratitude for the life that I have. It gives you this feeling like no other, where you are overwhelmed with the fact that you can buy a tomato at the grocery store. And I say that because I was listening to this book. I had my headphones on, I was grocery shopping, and I picked up a tomato when I was listening to the audiobook, and I looked at this. I'm reading about these characters who are starving to death, their animals are starving to death, there's no water, they're in the middle of this drought that is killing these people, and the scarcity of food and like the way this mother will like give her meals away to her kids, and then I'm over here being able to buy this tomato. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was an overwhelming feeling of gratefulness. The love that this mother has for her kids makes me so emotional. Like the love of a mother who would do anything to keep her kids alive. Like, it was emotional. It was an emotional roller coaster. If you are wanting a historical fiction, if you're wanting to read about family, and if you're wanting to be emotional, definitely read that book. Then this takes me to the last book that I'm going to talk about in today's video. It is The Wish by Nicholas Spark. This too I am borrowing from my family. This book was definitely not high stakes in the sense of it felt like we were just following these characters and nothing really like interesting was going on. I would say like it was just kind of slow. It feels like we're kind of just like hanging out with the characters much rather like doing stuff and like doing exciting things. The ending wasn't disappointing. I felt like it wrapped up the story pretty well and I enjoyed it. It just wasn't anything like crazy. I would say probably like a 3-star. Oh gosh, just seeing that kind of just is scary. Seeing people on the cover, like he's just looking at me. Like his eyes, no, his eyes aren't following me everywhere. But it kind of just looks like his eyes are following me everywhere. That concludes all of the books that I've read between the fall season. Please let me know. Guys, I want you guys to comment on my videos more because I would love to talk to you guys about the books that I've read. Like if you've read any of these books, please let me know down in the comments and we can share like our different opinions, or maybe if we had the same experience. I would love to chat with you guys down in the comments. So definitely let me know if you read any of these books or if you have any of these books in your TBR. I would love to know. Thank you so very much for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!